Hi, my name is Chris Farr. We're going to be talking about international business today and maybe some of the hurdles that you might encounter, um, starting a business in a different country or in a different culture, a different setting, some of the issues, some of the positives, some opportunities that you might not have where you're from currently. Obviously, us it would be the U.S. So it's very competitive over here, obviously for entrepreneurs and things like that. Um, as far as some background on me, I've been in corrections for the last 16 years. Um, I started out as an officer, worked my way up into training, and there I became the department head. So I have some business experience in running a department and dealing with a budget, and it was a pretty large budget. You know, basically coming up with certain things from scratch and writing some policies and things like that. So I have a little bit of experience. This class has taught me quite a bit. So, I'm excited to use what I've learned here. We're going to start off with talking about some business issues and events in relation to organizational strategic decision making. Okay. So, a few examples of this. You have your legal incorporation or legal issues that you might run into. You know, some countries have specific reporting requirements when it comes to hiring staff and things like that in general. So, as you're waiting for your company to become incorporated, or your corporation to become incorporated legally, it might be pretty hard for you to hire full-time staff or to get them on your payroll or count them as an employee. Some countries they have what we would call labor shortage. Even have it in the U.S. right now. So when we're talking labor shortage, we're talking about you know not even having anybody to work. Um, you can see it. You go into Burger King, little places like that. Uh, they close earlier. They're not open at all because they don't have staff to do it. And then you can't find people to work. So it's hard to start a business or a company, especially when you can't find anybody to work. Um, and sometimes you need a people with a specific skill set. And when there's nobody to work, then obviously it makes it even harder um, when you're thinking about something like that. And then you might run into compliance issues. So, when you're talking about different countries, and of course the U.S. as well, they have their own reporting regulations, labor laws, tax liability laws, tax requirements, things like that. You also run into employees' rights. You get into the HR side of things. Benefits. You have to maybe offer them so many PTO days or this kind of health care if you're a full time employee or things like that. So a lot of things that might create issues, especially in a different country when you've got certain barriers that you might not have in your home country. So we're going to get into talking about cultural and individual differences. Um, some challenges that might arise from cultural differences. You've got language barriers. So if you're not fluent in that country's language, obviously that's going to be an issue. So you're going to have to either A, learn the language, or B, find someone to translate for you. So, that might be an issue. And obviously that's going to make it very hard to communicate, and that's like a big part of business is communication. Um, then you'll have adapting to social norms. This could include religion. This could include accepted behaviors, how you act. What's considered acceptable in the U.S. might not be acceptable in another country, and you have to be aware of that because you want to maintain a good image or a good, a desirable image. You want people to come to you and buy products or whatever services you provide, or you want people to come to you to be hired to work there because you're a good company to work for. And then even scheduling hours of operation. In certain countries they might have different hours than us. It's not going to be 9 to 5, or it's not going to be your typical 8-hour workday, or you'll have different time for breaks or regulations regarding breaks and time off and scheduled working hours. So you got to take that into consideration. Some opportunities, though, plus side. You're going to learn about the other cultures, so you're going to submerge yourself into that culture. You have to be successful. Working with another culture might give you a competitive edge. When you learn new things, obviously you're broadening your horizons. You're going to make yourself more marketable. You can boost your business development, so you're expanding. You're bringing other people into your fold, more ideas. You're acquiring a new set of eyes to help you expand your business, and they're going to bring things to the table that you might not think of. And that just goes along with different points of view and creative vision. So, being from a different culture, they're going to look at things differently anyway, and they're going to bring a lot of different things to the table that we didn't think about, as being from the U.S. So that's all positive things. Operating with civility and cooperation. So obviously you have to abide by laws and certain regulations that they have in this country. If you don't, then you're going to get fined. You might suffer legal repercussions. You have to keep that, like I said, positive image of your corporation. You want people to work for you. Must be able to build strong relationships with people. So if you're not doing the right thing, then obviously nobody's going to want to work for you. You're going to be untrustworthy. If you follow all the rules, regulations, you're going to avoid fees and penalties. You have to. You want to turn a profit. You want to make money. You don't want to lose money, and that's what fees and penalties would do to you. And you want, again, to maintain that image of a desirable employer. You want people to want to come work for you. Treat people with respect. Some similarities and differences. Cultures. So you've got your social, religious, and accepted behavior cultural-wise, and then there's a little bit more than that, but those are big things. So you don't want to go against somebody's social or accepted behavior, especially like religious-wise, if that's a big part of that country. Whatever predominantly, you don't want to go to Japan and try to sell Bibles, because obviously that's not their religion, or predominantly. The economy. So some economies are better than others for starting a business. You want to take that into consideration when you choose a country to start a business in, or a market or a location to start a business in. You want to, like I said, turn a profit. You don't want to start off on a bad foot with a bad economy, or people don't have the money to buy products or things like that. And then you got business regulations. So environmental regulations, tax liabilities, employee laws regarding rights and benefits. Again, you have to take all this into consideration. And of course, countries are going to be similar to us to a certain extent, but you really have to be careful at what you're doing. You don't want to get fined. You don't want to get penalized for something. And then know your political environment, lastly. And politics, unfortunately, plays a lot in business. Depending on, maybe you're working in a communist country, so you kind of have to adhere to what that government wants you to do or wants you to sell. You're not going to sell products that they don't want you to. In the U.S., fortunately, free market, and we can do what we want for the most part, and that's a good thing. So the U.S. would be a good place to do that. Maybe a communist country might not. So you want to, keep that in mind. That's really all I got, and I appreciate your time.